So welcome everybody. We're doing our first of the EHS roundtable discussions, and we're doing a question and answer session from the previous webinar that we had earlier with Robert on working in elevated areas at heights and confined spaces. So I would love to welcome Robert back again. Welcome, Robert.
Thank you, and good to be back, and thank you for the welcome.
We do have some questions from some members, and what I'd like to do is really encourage people to come on mic and talk with Robert themselves and ask more questions of Robert while you're here today. So why don't we get started?
Yeah, I'd be delighted to answer any questions, and if there are any questions arising from my answers, I'll be delighted to hear from you. So step in anytime you like, and I'm going to answer the first question, which comes from Alvaro, and he says, what strategies do I recommend for rescuing a person in a lightning rod at 25 meters of height without man lift or other equipment? Well, that's a great question. I mean, LOBO is a product that really is only workable up to 10 meters, so we wouldn't suggest you building it to 25. And I think my complete answer would be that for 25 meter height, you need a serious piece of equipment that is structurally sound, that can do the job properly. So I'm really sorry I can't recommend LOBO to do that, but I can assure you that at 10 meters, LOBO is the best product in the marketplace. Okay, so moving on to the second question, which is from Bucanola, and his question is, what is the best method for ensuring that personnel avoid horseplay and throwing work instruments while working at height? Well, I think it's twofold. I would be very concerned to think that horseplay and throwing things around was part of the culture of the company. So I would sit these people down and say that, one, it's not company policy to throw anything. You could be exposing your workers and yourself to unnecessary risks. And I would point out that if somebody does get injured, it would have very serious consequences. And that if they are caught horseplaying or throwing instruments around while working at height, they could in fact be thrown off site. I've known people be red carded off site just for stepping onto a guardrail at 400 millimeters off the ground. So throwing something is not a great way to behave in a working at height environment. So I hope that answers your question. We have one more question, Taupe. How can I own a worksite platform for business? That's a great question. And I think from an owning platform, you can buy LOBO anywhere around the world. Feel free to email me on the sales@lobosystems.com, and I will put you in touch with one of our many certified LOBO distributors that can provide you with the necessary safety training to make that work. I would opt for a purchase option because you will then be able to see the benefits, create safety, and you'll actually cut your costs in a working environment. The last question I have is from Kevin. Welcome, Kevin. I know that you're on the line. And your question is about software. This is the question. Does your scaffolding software cater for the wind loading and the additional wind load generated by the attached debris nets? Now, LOBO has a scaffolding. It's not a scaffolding. It's an alternative to scaffolding. And when I say alternative, what I really mean is it's not going to be used in a construction environment. So we don't normally need to use debris nets in a LOBO environment. Now, we do have software, but the software that we have is for illustration and modeling purposes, and it allows you to create illustrations and drawings to show the different configurations that the LOBO can provide. So that software will not take into consideration any stress testing. That's of course all done for us in our facility here. So we've done all the wind calculations, we've subjected it to these crosswinds, but the software in fact is is not a software product that does that. We use the software to develop illustrations and drawings for showing how many configurations and what configurations are valid in our working at height environment. And that brings me on to the conclusion of the questions. So I'd like to thank all those that have taken the time and the trouble to put these questions to me. And of course, I know that there are a number of people online and would welcome any questions, any further questions that they may have.
So I wanted to invite Kevin on to have a little bit of a chat with you. Kevin, are you there?
Yes, I'm here. Can you hear me?
Yeah. So you've got
Okay.
Robert here on the line. What other questions might you have for him, or did he answer your question?
No, he did answer my question because the application I was thinking about was in the construction industry. Here locally, we are a small island and we are prone to very strong winds and gusts. That's why I asked about the netting issue.
Give some examples within construction for maintenance, Rob, that people could be using this. Like,
Sure. When I say construction, what I really mean is construction building sites. We're supplying construction companies all the time, but they're using it for work within the facilities management, for in plant rooms, on escalators, on staircases, mainly internal, where they have confined space issues or they have awkward areas to access. So the product is not designed to be used on the outside of a building as you would see regular scaffolding, because we're not scaffolding, we're an alternative to scaffolding, and we do a great job in the confined space, awkward areas, plant room, escalator type environments.
so yeah, I want to really drill down a little bit more on that, because myself also included, when I first was talking to you, I kept thinking this is scaffolding. And it wasn't until I went through watching the webinar that you did, and I really urge people who haven't looked at it yet to look at the recording. I will be sending that out again, because it really explains that work platforms are products that we're using inside our workspace, or even maybe outside to maintenance, say, a piece of equipment. So I could envision using the work platform to be doing maintenance on, say, a crane area.
Right.
Something that I would put it up for a few hours, because people need to go and work safely at different heights and levels on a crane. But then they're going to take it down and they're going to take it with them, as opposed to scaffolding is where you're putting it up. It really needs to be withstanding various environmental stresses. And so there's a lot more certification needed to put up scaffolding, where with the LOBO system, LOBO can train your people how to do it, and then your people can train more people inside. Did I get that right, Rob?
Yeah, you did. We offer the full training package globally. And just talking about cranes, and we're talking about construction equipment, that's absolutely where LOBO would fit. So you've got a Caterpillar, and in fact, Caterpillar is one of our customers, but let's take a typical Caterpillar type construction plant machine. You're going to need access to the windscreen, you're going to need access to the engine areas, to the hydraulics and all that good stuff. So LOBO is a product that you could take to the machine that's down, and from the back of your van, you could build a product, you could build a system that you could then maintain your construction plant machinery. You don't have to take the machine, the construction plant, back to the shop anymore. You could actually make the changes in the field. Think about the cost saving of doing that. So again, I say we don't sell to construction, but we actually do. It depends on how you look at it. And construction plant machinery is definitely one of our win areas.
Does that help answer your question a little bit more, Kevin, about how LOBO might be used in a construction environment?
Yes, thank you very much, Robert. And I was just thinking, the issue is this. In Malta, we have got the Occupational Health and Safety Authority, which are pretty tough now after several local accidents upon the maintenance on buildings. And I was thinking maybe your kind of product would be ideal for a small team of builders to do maintenance on low-level houses because of the issue of the high population density and the lack of space. You can't always get permission to use a cherry picker to do maintenance on the facade of a house.
Can I ask a clarifying question here?
Yes, certainly. Please do.
So when you say that you're doing maintenance on the side of the building,
That's right.
Is this something that you would just put up for, say, a few hours in the day and then be taking it back down?
No, typically you're talking about a 2-week period.
Okay.
2 weeks to 3-week period.
Rob, can you speak to that?
Yeah, I would. I mean, I know Malta because I'm speaking from the UK, so I know the Malta climate. Yes. I mean, I think for a 2-week situation for doing maintenance on buildings in tight, confined spaces, I think that's exactly what the product's designed to do. What you may be able to, what I may be able to help you with is that because it is so fast to put up and take down, you may choose to put it up and say take it down on a weekend and put it back up on a Monday because it is so quick. Now you cannot do that, or you wouldn't do that with traditional scaffolding because it just takes too long and you need to be a scaffolder. However, as LOBO is an alternative to scaffolding, you could probably, and I'm guessing, but if you're saying it's a small system, maybe standing at 3-4 meters, you could tear it down in half an hour and put it back up in an hour. So you could have the option at that point to actually only leave it up during the week if that was suitable for you. And when you come back in on a Monday, you might put it up a different height to what you left it on a Friday. So I think there is scope in that environment to consider LOBO to be a solution to your issues.
One other question, Robert, if you don't mind. Regarding security, is there a means? I mean, a normal scaffolding takes a long time when you bolt it together. It doesn't just clip together like your system. Hence, your system would be more prone to theft. Is there any feature which you could utilize with your scaffolding to make it less desirable for theft? Let's put it this way.
Yeah, there's a number of ways to look at this. So if you're worried about theft, because it is so fast, you could take it down and take it away every night on the job site, because it really isn't time consuming to take it down. And obviously it depends on how many people you use to do that, and also what height and how big the system is. So if you're really worried about security, for me, I would tear it down every night and put it away. Now, if you want to put it in some secure situation, we do a tower store unit, which is like a storage container, which can be kept perhaps inside the building that you're maintaining on the outside. So keep it dry or something like that inside the building, and you can put a padlock on it, and it's not going to get stolen. And this, because LOBO flat packs, it can easily go into one of our 3 tower store units, but obviously it has to be disassembled to do that. We also do a product called a ladder guard, and this is a temporary security solution. And what it is, it's a piece of it's a piece of steel metal guard that fits on the ladder, and it's padlocked on, so it means that people cannot actually use the ladder to get up to the system when you don't want them to. So you're kind of putting a lock on the system because it'll be out of reach unless they use the ladder. Since they can't use the ladder, it adds a level of security. But I would suggest to you, Kevin, that I can prove to you that LOBO is very, very fast to assemble. And I would suggest and invite you to one of my personal product demonstrations on the internet. It takes 20 minutes of your time, and I will prove to you how quick and easy it is to put together.
I thank you very much for the invite, and I will take you up on it, definitely. Thank you. One last question, Robert. I can see the tubing is made of steel and it looks like it's galvanized and yellow passivated. Correct me if I'm wrong.
Yes.
Another issue we have here locally is the high salt spray content in the air.
Yes.
Being a small island and surrounded by sea and sometimes rough wind. Now, corrosion is a big factor for us because even our cars get corroded when you park them outside.
Yes.
Maybe you can elaborate a bit on the salt spray testing you do? Exposure to 200 hours or whatever?
Yeah, what I would do, there's a company, a chemical company called ZEP, and I'm more than happy to give you the website. And this is a company that makes chemicals, and they have a product called Linebacker, but there are others, which you spray onto the LOBO system when it's in component form. So you probably buy a 5-litre container of this product. It's not expensive, and you take this and the product to an auto repair shop, and he would spray Linebacker on the LOBO components, and this gives it a really good corrosion resistant quality. And you might take the view that every 9-12 months you would take it back to the auto shop and hit it again with the chemical, and this will keep it corrosion free. It's what it does.
Great. The last question, Robert, and I'll give space to the other attendees to ask questions, is a local requirement is for the scaffolding to be certified by a competent person.
Yes.
And you had mentioned you do supply training.
Yes.
Which I take it would be examined and certified.
Yes.
Could you give a little bit more information on that?
Yes,
so that
we provide training globally through a number of ways. The first way is that people come here for training. The second way, we go to them. If it's in another country, then we have certified distribution network, which means that they are then certified by us, duly authorized by us to provide that training resource. Now, the other way of doing it, which is a way where we haven't got representation, is we use the internet. So we have a range of online live training courses that we can deliver to you, which is we do it from here. We certify the training. There's an examination to take, and there's also a training video as well. So we do everything we can, and we go to extreme lengths to produce documentation, certification, videos, and many other attributes of the training to make sure that you know what you're doing with LOBO products.
Well, thank you very much. Much appreciated.
Pleasure.
That was great. Do you have any final thoughts, Rob?
No, I just think I appreciate all of you for coming to the show. And it's been a pleasure to explain more the product than that I love to. I'm very passionate about my product. It is a really good product. I would invite you all to a online and live product demonstration, personal to you, where we can discuss all the concerns that you may have. So please don't hesitate to email me at sales@lobosystems.com, and I'm sure that tomorrow we'll provide those details anyway. And I sincerely look forward to meeting you again, even if it's just on the internet as we have today. So thank you very much.
Yeah, I wanted to talk about your passion, Rob. There's a little bit of a story behind how LOBO was created, because you yourself engineered LOBO.
Yeah, I did. I developed the product with a co-founder 20 years ago, and it's my mission now to develop the global strategy for LOBO. And we sell in many different countries: Israel, South Africa, Australia, Europe, and North America. So I'm absolutely committed to developing the LOBO marketing strategy and rolling out the product and the training wherever I can.
Yeah, no, that's just great. I always love it when I get to meet somebody who's actually been there and developed the product that they're selling into the safety world from their own heart, because you put so much more attention to detail. And when you were doing this, did you do research? How did you build LOBO?
Well, we built LOBO by the initial concept and developing it, but then we'd take it to a customer and they would say, well, we'd like the product, but we're not going to buy it because it doesn't have a feature. So we would say, okay, so we'd fix it. We'd go and develop that feature, integrate it into the manufacturing process, and then take it back to the customer, and they might buy it. Or they might say, well, we like that and we like the feature, but we need a training course. And in those days, there wasn't any training courses. People didn't get trained like they do now. So we'd say, well, okay, well, if we get a training course up, will you give us a purchase order for buying, one, the product, and two, the training? So they said, yeah, I guess we would. So we went back to the shop, we developed the training course, and we got the order. And I think that's been how we've evolved LOBO, by listening to our customers' requirements, meeting those challenges, and providing solutions to the features that they wanted on the system. And since then, we've gone from strength to strength. And I think our training course is constantly being updated to make it better and better and better. And now, of course, with the internet, we're actually offering online training, which is really cool.
So people can actually get the training now over online. How does that work?
Well, that works. We set it up. We actually schedule a Zoom meeting, which is a product for us to allow us to visually connect. We have a 75-inch television in our training area, and we administer it like a classroom, but we're remotely connected. Obviously, the customer has to have product at their own facility for this to work. It's very much a hands-on. We show you what you need to do, and then you copy us, and then we test you on it at the end. And we have somebody at the other end who takes responsibility to make sure that the tests are completed in a fair manner, no cheating going on, and to make sure they're marked correctly. And if that is the case, they're then sent back to us with his signature on it, and then we issue the certification cards. What it does mean, and what it really is good at, is that we can offer training on a global level. So if you're in a country that is a long way away and you don't have the budget to come over to the UK for training, or you're not near a certified distributor, it really does mean that now, using the benefits of the internet, we can offer a really high quality training course online, and to give you that certification and be safe in your working at height environment.
That's really great. And one of the companies that you do work with is NASA, isn't it?
Yes, we work with a number of companies like NASA, Rolls-Royce, Airbus. We really do deal with the biggest companies around, not just in aviation, but in food and beverage, automotive, automated fulfillment. Amazon we deal with, and we have many. Our customer list is the who's who of industry, whether it's in Canada with Nestle, America with Anheuser-Busch, Africa with InBev, Israel with Intel, South Africa, or even we're now dealing with Australia. So we really do have a great customer base and a great customer spread.
And did I really see Walt Disney Company as another one?
Yeah, we do. We have business with the Florida company, Disney World, down in Kissimmee, and they're using the product. This is actually one of their, would you believe, actually it's a laundry, and they're using it's an automated laundry, and if you imagine how much laundry that company has on a daily basis, you'll understand how big and beefy the machine needs to be. And that's our system there. You can see it's set up with the decks, that guardrails left and right, and it's creating a safe walkway to get from one end of the machine to the other at height. Perfect application.
So this can really go around like conveyor belts and different types of equipment that might be really hard and dangerous for people to be getting into while they're doing maintenance also.
Yeah, it's all about machinery maintenance, and that's where the product is very good at, because you can custom build LOBO every day. You can reconfigure it yourself. You don't have to give the scaffolder, you don't have to bring the scaffolder back in, so you can make it to any size, any shape, different every day, custom to your requirements.
Hi, Robert. Just one last question. I was just thinking about some potential alternative uses of your scaffolding system. I'm thinking about applications when there are mass meetings for camera stands to have a high vantage point.
Sure.
And the other thing I was thinking about was the possibility of maybe in events and fairs, what kind of loading would it be able to take, for example, for flood lighting and such things?
Yeah, I mean, LOBO is a good product. It's hugely strong. Each leg is capable of taking 250 kilograms. So around a 4-legged system, you have 4 times 250. If you wanted to make it stronger, you could go 6 legs, 8 legs. So you can beef up the system to be as strong as you want it to be. In terms of loading, we've never had a problem with loading, and it's a really, really strong product. It's nothing like aluminium.
The issue why I'm asking about this is we had a local event around 6 years ago where a gust of wind in an outdoor party blew over the scaffolding with the lighting system onto people and injured some people. That's why I'm so concerned upon the wind loading and the actual loading of the setup.
Right. Well, I would suggest for that purpose, if you're concerned about that, we have T-shaped legs on the bottom of the product, and I would suggest that they were pegged down with horseshoe pegs to make sure they didn't move. Or you could drill a hole in one of the T-shaped feet, and you could literally screw it into the ground so it doesn't move.
What is typically done a lot for temporary installations locally, it might not be the best practices, but they get large water containers, mount 4 of them across every corner, fill them up with water, so we're talking around 1.5 2-ton container load, and they tie them down with the corners of the structure for temporary installations.
Yeah, that's whatever works. So I would say that we could do the same with LOBO if you wanted to use that method. It all depends on the ground, the substrate that you're developing the product on.
Great. And just one last thing. What would the maximum pressure on the floor be required? What kind of robustness of the pressure loading would the scaffolding system require? And have you got means of additional distribution of load via platforms, or would you recommend just using steel sheets on the floor prior to erection?
Yeah, I would always make sure the ground is stabilized, and I would often use timber sheeting for that to make sure the ground doesn't sink into the ground. And I think that's standard practice for any scaffolding product.
Great. Thank you very much.
Did I answer your question okay?
Yes, great. Thank you very much. Much appreciated.
So just a moment, Rob. I want to see if I found it. Is this the T-shaped leg that you're talking about?
Right. Yeah, you've got that's a T-shaped leg right there. It's actually got the wheel kit on the bottom right, but you don't have to have the wheel kit. The wheel kit is optional. You might see the wheel kit better in the top left photograph that we're in the vacuum channel. That's right.
Right here?
Just you can see there we got big T-shaped legs, and they're perfect for creating stability. And of course, you could put holes in that if you wanted to, and actually nail it into the ground. tent peg style. And because it is steel, it's not going to get blown over very easily. And since the boards are locked in place with a low band piece of tube, the low boards, the deck boards, aren't going to blow off in the wind. And I can show you all this, Kevin, when we agreed the product demonstration online.
Robert, you're an engineer, aren't you?
I am indeed, yeah. So
you can be at peace that an engineer actually developed this.
Yes, I have a national diploma in electrical and mechanical engineering.
Well, again, thank you, Robert, for your time. That's all the time we have today. And thank you, members, for coming and joining us.
Thank you very much. Have a great day.